Hello and welcome to Video Games and the Blockchain. I'm your host Chris Stead, you're watching Crypto Finder TV and we're here to talk about the emerging space between blockchain technology and video gaming. We've got a massive show worth of news to go through, so we're not even going to talk about Red Dead Redemption 2, which you probably already played to death given it came out just a week ago. Okay, we're going to roll straight into our first big news story of the week, and we love talking about Aussie news because Aussies are awesome. And we've got some great Aussie news for you today with the pioneering partnership just announced between Gfinity, the eSports group here in Australia that runs a lot of the eSports competitions, and Incent, a startup from Sydney from 2016 who have been working on rewards loyalty program. Now, what Incent is it's kind of like a classic royalty rewards program like you might get with like supermarket chains or with frequent flyer points and so forth, where if you buy something in a certain store or merchant, you will receive as a loyalty for buying that product a small percentage of Incent, which is the crypto coin and ties into Incent, the company that launches the system. Now there's about 350 to 400 merchants in the Sydney area that are already engaged in this, and people buying on this will all get like a small cut between 1% and 20%. Most of the ones that I looked at were between 1 and 5%. There are a few that offer 20% reward for what you purchase. You've got your classic little cafes and restaurants and pubs, that type of thing. But there's also some decent sized brands like Samsung, Kentucky, Vans. So some significant ones as well. So these guys have obviously been working away at this for a couple of years now, building a base worth of merchants. Now, the tech is compliant as well, which is pretty important, I think. A lot of the Sydney blockchain stuff that we're seeing is compliant, which is something that segregates the Australian blockchain startup space from some of the others around the world, is it works closely with the government here to make sure that everything is compliant. It's built off the Waves blockchain as well, which is well known for being able to handle big transactions. But an unusual one, usually it's Ethereum or some of the other blockchains that we use, but this works off the Waves blockchain. Now, Gfinity Elite Series is one of Australia's biggest esports leagues. They have the biggest player prize pool of $450,000 for a recent tournament. They focus on Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, Street Fighter 5, and also Rocket League. Now, the G Sports guys are sponsored by Alienware and also Logitech, so they've got a bit backing behind them already. Now, what these guys have done is they've set up a partnership between each other whereby if you watch the broadcasts of the Gfinity Elite Series, which is broadcast through Twitch, codes will come up on the screen while you're watching, which you'll be able to type into the Incent program and be rewarded with cryptocurrency for being involved as a viewer. So why not? If you're going to sit there and watch esports, you might as well earn some money for it, what? So this is a pretty cool pioneering concept. I've got a bit of a quote here to show you from the CEO, which talks through his thoughts on it. This is the first ever mass market application for crypto in Australia, if not the world. And we'll be putting crypto into the hands of tens of thousands of new users as a result of this one partnership alone. Very interesting quote there from Rob, basically suggesting that a whole lot of these gamers who aren't already involved in the crypto or blockchain space are going to become aware of it and get involved in it. Obviously, the Incent itself can be exchanged in and out of itself into Ethereum and then into fiat cash or another blockchain currency, or sorry, another cryptocurrency. And on top of that, there are some merchants in Sydney at the very least who do accept Incent as a payment method. And we can only hope that that will grow across the country, and then globally they do consider themselves to be a global enterprise, at least in the future. So we do have a bit of footage of the Gfinity Elite Series in action just to show you what it's all about. But again, Australia leading the way. Watch the trailer.
It's a Sydney derby. Dizzy's the kind of player that can hit the targets. Oh, yeah. Well, look at that havoc, and that's it.
Oh, and it's almost done. Round through, hasn't taken it. The Brisbane deceptions, the pass net is good. Very fast play.
Looks like Pex is reading this so well, takes him down and gets the W.
Shut your goddamn mouth and you watch me play.
But the demo, pull it, comes close, Robo finishes it off. Wow.
Stop it, Connie.
Zurich's back in, off the wall. This is a goal.
You feeling confident? You reckon you can come out top?
Oh, yes.
Close us out with a law of combo, and that is it. It's done.
Willie pushing short now. The ball is down in back of the Departments. Willie finding one and a second. Beautiful play coming out from ground zero. And they are going to take it by 6 rounds.
Make some noise for Melbourne Order!
Perth ground zero just need to slam it down. Demolition! Well, oh my goodness.
Oh, and a perfect Somniac for the Sydney Chiefs.
Mac, it looks like the future's so bright, you're wearing sunglasses.
I just don't want to have to look at you anymore. He eventually gets that trade. He's going to stick it as well. Dance. Oh, he has to go for the real one.
Chiefs secure their spot here.
Have you got any opinions on your opposing team today?
They're not very good.
Melbourne Avant. The shot there it is. He's done it. Sydney Chiefs go down. Melbourne Avant have crushed the Chiefs.
BK and that's it. It's done. Melbourne Order are going through to the grand final.
This is just enough time for APOC to try to get the plant off, although baiting it a second time, Hutch pushes out the score. And Order are your champions!
They said it was time, and they took it. Melbourne Order are your champions.
Championship point. I like it this thing. Oh, it's in jump. It's Melbourne Order
Are your Gfinity Elite Series champion.
What a season! What a season!
There you go. Did you see any codes wrap up on that? If you did, you might have just earned some Incent. I didn't see anything, but that's what we're going to be expecting from this partnership, watching something like that and earning a bit of cash for doing so. Exciting idea. Okay, on to our second news story. This is about the game Forest Knight. Now, we've mentioned this game before. We haven't been able to show you anything about it. Forest Knight is built on the Enjin SDK. It's part of the Enjin multiverse, which we've spoken about a few times on this show, alongside games like Nine Lives Arena, Age of Rust, Cats in Mechs, and a few of the other games. I think there's 9 of them we know about so far, including this game. Now, this game has been developed by Chrono Games. Now, Chrono Games is actually just one dude. His name is Befar Iranamenesh, I think. He's from Hamburg. Doesn't sound like a German name, but anyway. And he's one guy who's making this game, which is impressive. It always impresses me when I see that. Now, it's built on Unity, and it's using the ERC 1155 token, which is part of the Enjine's kind of specialized gaming token, which it takes the 2 ERC standards and merges them together into one thing specific for the gaming industry. Now, the game itself is looking pretty damn good. It's a turn-based RPG. It's single player to begin with, but there is going to be some PvP coming down the track. It's set in the world of Croneville. It's kind of a typical RPG, except that the heroes are all unique. So you can be leveled up, you can level up your abilities, you can level up your gear, you can level up your party members or get new party members involved. How you kind of, I guess, choose to level up those abilities changes the strengths and weaknesses of your character, help makes them more unique. So there's going to be a peer-to-peer trading system here, a market system based on the characters that you kind of build up and evolve in this world. You do have a hometown that you do need to defend, so that's got an interesting dynamic there. I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but you do need to defend your hometown from attack. And then when you go out to explore the world, it kind of takes this board game style approach, a bit almost like a kind of like a Mario Party or like a Donkey Kong Country or something like that, where you kind of move between blocks. So I don't know whether you move to those blocks and explore and then face with turn-based battles within that, or each one is just a turn-based battle. But you obviously got quests to complete and things like that. Have you level up your character in classic RPG fashion. It's a proven gameplay system that we know and love, but they've added something different to it as well, which is a proven system from a different side of things, which is the mobile world, and that is daily rewards. So every single time that you log into Forest Knight and play, it's an Android game, followed by iOS later on. Every time you log in and play, you'll be rewarded with a daily reward of the crypto. So that encourages you to turn on every single day, earn a little bit of coin, get playing, level up your character, and keep progressing. Again, as I said, that's a proven system in the mobile gaming world. It's worked for a ton of games. It's nice to see it working in this game, Forest Knights, which is got a great looking cartoon aesthetic. It looks really well made. Fun dude. And like I said, we're still kind of waiting on more details to come out, but at least we can finally show you some of it. So here's a bit of footage finally from Forest Knight by Chrono Games, which is built on the Enjin SDK and coming to the Enjin multiverse. Right, there you go. Now, speaking of Enjin, we've got some a very curious discussion here to have about Enjin. Now, hopefully you caught our episode a couple of weeks ago where we spoke to Roger Walker, who's the VP of Communications and Partnerships at Enjin Coin. It was a great interview, full of a ton of information. So if you haven't caught that, make sure you go check it out on the YouTube channel. Now, during that interview, we started talking about what it would take for kind of the bigger players in the market to get involved with blockchain and start really kind of building it into their ecosystems and pushing it. And he specifically said that some of the big guys have been coming to talk to Enjin about getting involved. When I pressed him on that and said, are you talking about EA or Activision? He was just very coy and said yes. Okay, so very interesting. Not an admission by any measure of specifically those companies getting involved, but clearly an EA or an Activision is, or has, chatted to Enjin about the way that they're handling their blockchain ecosystem, whether or not they can use the tech involved in their types of games, that type of thing, right? So very, very interesting, big news. Okay, then this week, EA goes and announces a new cloud games machine called Project Atlas, right? Now, Project Atlas is going to be a games streaming service. I'm going to read you out some of the features involved with Project Atlas, just so you can see how this aligns with many of the other various distribution platforms we've seen emerge in the blockchain space over the last 6 or 7 months. It's got 1,000 employees working on it, which is really interesting. So it's obviously they're going in hard with it. Okay, it streams games at low latency. It offers dynamic, social, and cross-platform play. Infinite scalability of the platform, so it's going to be cross-generation. They're calling it a next generation unified platform, and this is another quote from it, is a creative world full of user-generated content, blurring the lines between the discrete domains of game engines and game services. Right now, have you not heard all this type of stuff before? This is exactly what we're hearing from the guys who are looking to build these unified blockchain-based systems whereby you've kind of got your social, your distribution, your development, and also your secondary market all contained within the one little ecosystem. If this is not using blockchain, it'd be a bloody miracle, and they'd be wasting the best tech on the market to handle this kind of stuff right now. Okay, I do have a bit of a flashcard I'll quickly show you of the quote from the CTO of EA. I'm not going to read it all out to you. You can have a look at it there, just basically detailing what they're all about. Okay, so yeah, look, I'm drawing a super long bow here to say that this is an EA and Enjin partnership. You know, I don't think it probably is, but I do think it's certainly possible that EA had gone and tapped Enjin on the shoulder and spoken to them about the possibilities of using their service within this Project Atlas thing. But however, that is not EA's style. As we know in the past, EA likes to just go out, find a dude who does this and buy it, gut him and bring him into EA. We've seen it countless times before. This is no doubt what the process EA will take if they do indeed use blockchain to drive the Project Atlas. I think they will. We know that Project xCloud, which is the Microsoft announcement recently of their version of this streaming game platform, is already integrated with the blockchain. Microsoft is already using blockchain technology to handle all of its royalty payments. They're already one step along that journey. There is no other tech that can do this as well as blockchain. Guarantee Project Atlas will use it in some capacity, even if they don't actually put it on the tin, because the word blockchain seems to be scaring off all the hardcore gamers. Anyway, very cool, right? I think it's very cool. And maybe we'll see future games like Battlefield 5 using blockchain in some capacity, some secondary market there perhaps. Maybe in the next Battlefield anyway. Here's a quick trailer of Battlefield 5, which is the next EA game coming out in about 3 weeks from now.
Back! This way!
Games play best on Xbox One.
There we go, that's Battlefield 5, and if you didn't catch the news, it just came out about a week or so ago. The Firestorm mode, which is the Battle Royale experience coming to Battlefield 5, has been delayed till March next year, which is a bit of a bugger, but oh well, there's no shortage of Battle Royale experiences out there nowadays. Okay, on to our fourth news story. Okay, Crab plus Mutant plus Crypto is an elevator pitch I can't ignore. Can't ignore it. The game that is the result of this ridiculous, devilish math is Cryptantcrab, which is being developed by another Aussie dev, iCandy Interactive. The Aussies going hard this week. Now, this is a crypto collectible style game. We're told that there's going to be 1 million combos of crabs that you'll be able to kind of put together. Then within that, you've got looks, stats, elemental affinity. We've got water, spirit, fire, metal, or earth, which are your kind of elemental affinities. They can be applied to each individual body part to kind of add that kind of uniqueness and diversity in each of the crabs. There's going to be strengths and weaknesses in it, and obviously this is all about collecting, creating kind of some sort of rarity or scarcity system here, and upping the value of your particular type of crab. One of the things you'll be able to do is take each of the body parts and pour Cryptant onto that body part to mutate it into something else, which sounds cool as fuck, but I love the idea. Now, there will be a battle system, of course, which is claw-to-claw combat. You'll be able to collect them, you'll be able to train them, you'll be able to battle them. There's not much more beyond this game, about this game, that I can tell you right now, other than the fact that it is stepping into that game crypto kitty space, that Ethereum on space. We have quite a couple of games of this ilk coming out. How it will diversify as it goes along in development and kind of create its own unique thing, other than the fact it's got mutant crabs. We'll have to wait and see, but either way, you know, it's another interesting entry into this field. It's from an Aussie developer, which I always love. These are the same guys that made Crab Wars, by example. I don't know if you ever played that game on mobile, but this is kind of almost like a spin-off of the Crab Wars game. Anyway, it soon looks like everyone will have crabs. Here's a trailer. All right, so there you go. Accusations under the sea, eh? No friendly crustaceans. All right, moving on to our fifth news piece, our final news piece of the day. We're going to talk about a game called Eximius. Sees the front line. Now this has been kind of pushed by a group called the Triforce Tokens. Now I've been reading up about them, trying to work out a little bit more about what they do. It's kind of hard to follow. It looks like they have their own Force blockchain, their own Force cryptocurrency called Force. They claim that they eliminate the middleman, increasing revenue for the developers and connection and creating a stronger connection with the audience. However, they in themselves appear to be a middleman. So they kind of facilitate getting these games onto other platforms. In this case of Eximius, getting it onto the Steam platform, which needs no introduction. So the thing's a bit iffy. Just kind of reading it on paper, I couldn't quite decipher the website in the way I felt comfortable with. However, unlike most of the guys that we're seeing in this space, and even though these guys claim to be a world first, I read about 6 of these every single week. Anyway, these guys are actually releasing games. And the games are looking pretty good. So we're going to start by talking about the good news in relation to this game, Eximius. It's made by Ammobox Studios. It's a 5v5 multiplayer game, but the way that the gameplay plays out is really interesting. So you've got an RTS FPS hybrid here. We've seen a bit of that in the past. I think Tom Clancy tried to muck around with it a little while ago, and a few other little indie games have kind of tried it out, but no one's ever really nailed it in a satisfying way anyway. These guys, of the 5 players on your team, 1 player is the commander and 4 are service officers. The commander has kind of an RTS-like God view. They're looking after the base management, the base building, resource management, looking after vehicles, supply drops, air support, that kind of thing. But they're also assigning the units that they create and the barracks that they're building to one of their 4 officers on the ground, which are controlled by humans. So you kind of move these AI characters to a human character, and that human character is then pushing through the front line on the actual battlefield itself, looking for victory. Really great idea, real interesting concept. There's an unlock tree as well, so there's going to be a means of progressing and getting deeper into this game as you kind of go. The footage I've seen so far looks fine. The visuals look, solid enough, and the world looks fun enough. We'll show you a trailer at the end of this so you can tell for yourself. But the concept itself is cool, and it's great to see games of this type getting involved in the blockchain space. I guess the kind of bad news, or the bad side of this, or the way that we can kind of analyse it in a slightly negative way, is to say that, the way that the Force concept, the Force tokens and the crypto is being involved in this game is reasonably superficial. It appears like there'll be some sort of in-game advertisements, like a kind of passive advertisement somewhere within the world, and by viewing those you will earn a bit of the tokens. So I didn't see anything to do with secondary markets or kind of peer-to-peer trading or any of that kind of more blockchain stuff. It seems to be more on that kind of crypto in-game currency side of things that these guys are getting involved. I also highly doubt these guys are going to be able to keep their name. Triforce tokens, that's like rubbing Nintendo the wrong way, surely, as Triforce obviously is the Zelda link there, and then there's the tokens called the Force, and Disney and LucasArts aren't to be stuffed with. Many people have fallen victim of that, so I fear these guys are probably going to get a letter in the mail sometime in the near future and have to rebrand, but maybe that's their plan. Maybe that's their play to get a bit of brand awareness and have people talking about it. Okay, and not to mention as well, we've got Steam here. Now, Steam's already put the ban hammer on people who have suggested they might want to get into the secondary market to play around in the blockchain space. Look at Wax as a primary example of this. I think that perhaps they might rub Steam the wrong way if this game starts to gain a bit of hype, because Steam's obviously working on something in the background to do with their own blockchain-enabled distribution platform. Probably just leveling Steam up in some capacity, and they don't want any competition getting a leg up in the process, so they may come a bit of a foul there. But if those things are kind of the negative looks at this game, the positive looks at this game is it's looking really good, it's a really neat idea, and I hope Ammobox has a great gameplay experience on their hands. I believe it's just about entered early access as we're talking right now, so you can jump onto Steam and check it out for yourself. But in the interim, here is some video footage.
Engineers, reporting. All right, let's get it built.
Fire team, reporting in, sir. Reporting in, where do you need us?
Heavy armor here. Reporting in, Commander.
Positions now, enemy ahead.
That's it, kill them all!
Enemy ahead. Go loud. Go loud. Move in, squad. Fight.
Fire. Start fire. Call down the south hall. All officers stand by. Vanguard package confirmed at target point.
404, Marshal 17023, single date, expected push time 32.
That's formation. Go, go, go. Take them all. I don't stand a chance. Positions down. Enemy ahead. Squad, come in. I need to suppress the fire. Entry through tank here. Okay, let's roll. Eyes ahead, son. We're moving. Close air support confirmed. Watch your enemy.
Squad, come in. I need suppressive fire.
What the hell? We're going to need reinforcements. Forward observer has confirmed target. All guns stand by for orders. Forward command has confirmed LC-2RF. You are good to go. EM strike authorized. Stand by to trade.
All right, there you go. So not a bad looking game. Do any of you guys remember the outfit that came out on the Xbox 360 in 2006 by Relic Entertainment? Not many people paid too much attention to it. It was really on the first generation of games that came out on that console. But it was really, really cool. It was a bit of a gen that was underprivileged or under-seen at the time. But anyway, this kind of reminds me a little bit of that, although way more advanced, being that it's 12 years later. Okay, so that's all we have time for today on GxB. We've had a big day worth of news to get through. I hope you enjoyed everything that we've covered. I hope you enjoy the show and you come back and watch us again next week. Like I said, go back and find that Roger Walco interview from Enjin if you haven't seen it. Maybe we'll link to it in the comments. That'll make it nice and easy. Actually, we do have one more piece to tell you. Epic Games needs no introduction. Do you remember about 2 months ago, I told you that little story about how Epic Games had quietly partnered with a guys called MagnaChain, a blockchain technology, to potentially bring blockchain tech into Fortnite, and all you guys are like, oh, wow, that's cool. Anyway, they just announced that they got $1.25 billion worth of investment to work on some crazy new stuff to do with Epic Games. Probably a lot to do with their Unreal Engine, but also in relation to that, they've opened a new studio here in Australia to work on something super special. Okay, so we've got blockchain, we've got $1.25 billion worth of investment, and we've got a new studio here in Australia, the blockchain startup capital of the world. I think things are looking up for Fortnite. Anyway, here are some balloons.